Beginning in the Andalusian city of Seville, the Via de la Plata is the longest Camino at around 1,000 kilometers. What follows are the ups and downs of the section up to Granja de Morreruela, where you can split off onto the Camino Sanabres. Got moving at first light, but then was tempted in by the cafe for a big breakfast of churros and coffee and fresh orange juice and toast and all that kind of thing. It sets you on your way pretty good. Walking along some lovely single track paths across some beautiful countryside. Would really like to take it a bit easier and maybe hang out for half an hour, but it's still relatively cool now, but as soon as it gets to midday it's going to be pushing 30 degrees, so unfortunately got to push on to avoid that. So Via de la Plata being what it is, which is an old Roman trade route, there's plenty of relics and ruins along the way. There's a nice arch. So it's first thing in the morning, stayed at this place last night, the Hotel Asturias. That was a very good bet because they very kindly picked us up from the Camino. All I had to do was send a chat message and they said, fine, we'll be there in half an hour. So after staying at the Hotel Asturias, instead of trying to fight your way back to the Camino path proper, you can take this route, which is the Via Verde, all the way to Baños. So about halfway to Baños for the 20-kilometer day, roughly. Unfortunately, from Aldenueva, this last 9 kilometers is all on the road, it would seem. What a heartsink. Finally made it to Baños. I think this means baths. And seems to be only one albergue in town, but that's okay because it's this place and it's really nice. There's not so many people around today, which means we can all be on the lower bunks. There's ones at the top, which are a bit of a pain if you have to get up in the night. This isn't bad for 15 euros. The garden's alive with all kinds of fruit trees. Figs, olives, grapevines. Don't know what this is, but it smells amazing. So just leaving Baños, what a lovely night stay we had here. Narrow cobbled winding streets, lots of lovely window boxes. There's a lovely spa, and for 37 euros you can get all kinds of treatments and a dunk in the waters. Apparently that gets even cheaper with a pilgrim's discount. The first few kilometres this morning is a little bit of a steep climb. I think we have to go up about 200 metres. So it looks like we've just crossed the border from the region of Extremadura into Castilla and Leon. So I was warned about the extreme heat in Extremadura. It's been pretty hot, but it's been somewhat bearable if you keep the walking to the morning. Today it's been a lovely crisp start to the day, so if that's the shape of things to come in this next region of Castilla and Leon, that would be great. Scenery like this is what it's all about. We're away from the noisy roads now. It's just noisy birdsong. It's better. Seem to be now walking in a cooler part of Spain, getting into the beginning of May now, but the temperature's dropped since we got to Castilla y Leon region. Just leaving Valverde de la Casa. It's going to be a short stage today because the next stop, Fuenterople, is 12k, but the one beyond that is another 30k or so. So just a quick one today. I think it wants me not to go this way, but I think it does want me to go this way. You can't beat those reassuring yellow arrows. Oh, there's another one. 1,000 kilometers, it's kind of a long way. As road walking goes, that was a pretty nice stretch along that roughly 1.5k from Val de la Casa. Pretty quiet, hardly any traffic. But now we're back onto the paths. We're off the road, so that's happy days. Should be the path all the way to the end of the stage in about, I don't know, 5 or 6 kilometres time. Staying here tonight in Fuenterroble. Fingers crossed that the church-run place here will be laying on their communal meal tonight. So these donations-based hostels, facilities often not quite as good as the private places, as you might expect. But this is pretty comfortable. This is where I slept last night. We weren't so full, so we didn't have to use the top bunks. These church-run places are often donations-based or donativo, and the bulk of the money comes straight from the church to run the place, but the donations, I guess, keep the coffers topped up. So that would have paid for the nice meal we had last night, and as well as the breakfast this morning. Only a little bit past 8 o'clock, and I'm very much the last to leave. Slacker that I am. Couldn't sleep very well last night. Don't know what that was about. I was told maybe it was down to it being a full moon. What the connection there might be, not too sure. As the Via de la Plata isn't actually one of the old pilgrimage routes as such, it came into being to service the trade between the north and south of Spain. These parochial religious albergues are quite rare, like the one last night, the Santa Maria. Nonetheless, they still have this mission to serve the poor or the needy. So I guess us pilgrims kind of fit that category. So I've had a couple of travelling companions over the past week or so, which has been nice. They seem to have given me the slip this morning though. That's okay. I do like walking by myself, especially in the morning, when the day's all fresh and new, and the solitude is quite pleasant. If it's a hard day, then it's nice to have some company, just to have a chat, to take your mind off the inevitable pain in the shoulders and the general fatigue that sets in. There's various groups of people to be found on the Camino. People like me, the peregrinos, pilgrims, doing the hard slog by foot, mainly. Then you got the guys on the bikes, or the bicegrinos. Obviously they have a much easier time. They hunt in packs. Gracias. And then you have the tourigrinos, guys that are on a tour bus. They get all their bags shipped for them. They get to call the bus when they're tired, and they probably don't stay in dormitories like the real pilgrims. Well, each their own. If they're getting an experience, maybe they'll come back and do it by themselves. About 10k out of Fuenterroble, the path splits, and you can either carry on the main Camino and go over the hill, over some tricky terrain, but potentially with some nice views, or you can take the easy way out, which is that way, and there's an albergue much sooner. And it's going to be fairly empty, I think, because not many of the guidebooks or apps tell you about it. So that's the albergue at Pedrosilo. Just after 7 in the morning on a Sunday, and I'm one of those people who got up in the dark and shuffled around and probably woke other people up in the dormitory, but, well, sorry about that. I've got 30 kilometres to walk to Salamanca, so early start's needed. Hopefully there'll be some breakfast on the way. Beautiful morning. The mist is nestling in the hills, and sun's just coming up. Not much Much doing for breakfast this morning, so I've just walked about 10k to this little village of Moril in the hopes of an open cafe. 2 cafes, both closed. Luckily, I've got these. I think they're almonds. That's €2.40, very well spent. Hoping for another chance for a cafe in about 10k, but in the meantime, this will have to do. Moral, always have a spare apple in your bag, and don't bank on open cafes on a Sunday morning. Whew. That was a hard slog. Finally made it to Salamanca. There's the cathedral, and there's a nice Roman bridge. Thank you very much. So I stayed at the Alberg Revolution Hostel for 2 nights. I think I was given the Union Jack room. God save the King. My advice would be to ask for a quiet room, which are actually at the front. Would you believe? The one must-try dish in Salamanca is the hornazo, and it's super heavy, and I'm going to try it for lunch. Probably won't feel like doing much walking after that, but we'll give it a try. It's like an empanada stuffed with like all kinds of stuff, like chorizo and ham. So I'm reluctantly on my way out of Salamanca, and I've just been here 2 days, so much to see and do. I could stay way longer, but the Camino isn't going to walk itself, so I suppose I should be on my way. You could just hang out in this Plaza Mayor, the main square, one of the largest squares in Spain apparently. Had a nice meal here last night. Said goodbye to a couple of friends I've been walking with. But hey ho, that's the Camino. It gives, it takes away. Next stop, about 15 kilometres away. Easy day today. It was 15 kilometres or 35. Thanks Salamanca, it's been fun. After the promised breakfast this morning failed to materialise, I've just walked about 34 kilometres just on an apple and some cereal bars. So very glad that this place, this bar, is open. They do a pilgrim menu for €10, and I'm starting with this, which is a Russian salad with some charcuterie and cheese on the side. Looks fabulous, but then probably anything would be fabulous right now, so I'm quite hungry. Hola. And not unusually, there was nobody here, so I just went to the local bar, had something to eat, and was told the hospitalera would be along soon. Someone turned up eventually, but if no one turns up, it's no big deal. You can just find yourself a bed and do your routine with the passport and credential when they turn up. Empty here tonight, €12 for a bed in this dorm. After the 34-kilometre extravaganza yesterday, back to a more sensible 18 or so to get me into Zamora. Tiny bit of road walking going on. Do I face the traffic? Probably best, isn't it? Turning off the main road in a minute, pick up the path again. Since crossing into the province of Castilla and Leon, the temperature has dropped right down, which makes walking after lunch way more viable. Right now it's probably less than 10 degrees, got long sleeves on, happy days. Another day, another Roman bridge, this time takes us over into the Roman city of Zamora. Just a couple of days before the split, where you decide whether to head up to Astorga to pick take up the Camino de France or bear left onto the Camino Sanabres. I guess we're crossing some kind of Rubicon here because we're now in Pincho country. Well, seems to be only one albergue in Zamora, so I stayed here. Really good facilities, nice and new. And Donativo, they give you a sheet and a pillowcase, but what you don't get is blankets. I don't have a sleeping bag because I've been relying on blankets. There's always been blankets so far, but not at this place, so I wrapped up a bit warm, and for once I was grateful that there were so many bodies in the room. I think that kept the room quite warm. Okay, so that was Zamora. Short and sweet, but, well, went a bit crazy on the cultural stuff in Salamanca, so was a bit tired by the time I got here. Nonetheless, good vibes from this place. I'll definitely come back. So there's lots of signage in Zamora telling you which paths to take to get out of the city, but this is the first. One sign for the walkers, another sign for the cyclists. So one for the peregrinos, one for the bicyclinos. Okay. This is the best food so far at this Donativo place. Very happy to be here. Pretty good night's sleep at Fontillas, this Donativo albergue. So I had this area of 4 all to myself. So Fontañas de Castro is only about 10 or 12k to the big splitting off point at Grandia. It's not really at the end of any stage as such, but it's really worth a visit. Super friendly, kind hosteleros. Best food I've had so far, and all on a Donativo basis. So at this point on the Via de la Plata, you have a choice. You can either continue up to Astorga to join the Camino de France, or you can bear off the Via de la Plata and start on the Camino Sanabres, which takes you through the region of Sanabria and then up to Galicia and into Santiago. The Camino Sanabres is considered to be one of the newer caminos because it's only been around for about 800 years.